So going back to how did you get into doing these type of films?
Yeah. Well, since I was a child, like as a growing up, I was obsessed with martial arts films. So I'd watch like kung fu films and Muay Thai movies, stuff like that. I was really big into Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, and Donnie Yen, and all these guys, and then obviously Tony Jaa. But I never actually thought I'd end up making martial arts films. Like, that doesn't happen to people from Wales usually. And what happened was, I was always interested in making films, but I never really did enough to get into the industry in UK. And what happened was, my wife is Indonesian Japanese, and so she ended up putting a call in to some contacts that she had back in Indonesia. And it got me a job doing a documentary out there. And that documentary was about Silat, the martial art in Indonesia. And so this was like the first time I got to see Silat and figure out what it was and how it looked on camera. And by doing that documentary, I got to take away the knowledge about the traditions, the culture, the practice of it, the philosophy of the martial art. But then I also met Iko, the lead actor of the film. And so, a combination of all those things, it just kind of presented itself to me. I didn't have to go off looking for it, it came to me. And so I feel like very lucky that, since we moved to Indonesia then, we've been able to kind of put ourselves in a position where we are kind of starting to promote Silat, not just locally, but hopefully on a global level too.
It really is. It's a beautiful art. You see a lot of martial arts in these movies, but I always think, Taekwondo films well.
Yeah.
And what Bruce Lee was doing, which is a combination of a lot of different things, films well. But sometimes, Aikido doesn't necessarily film well, but Steven Seagal has made it work.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see something that I didn't know anything about, translate into just a beautiful art form and the moves and just blow.
Yeah, I think where we feel like we got lucky is that Iko is a performer. He's probably like one of the best performers we have in order to showcase Silat in cinema. Because the way he moves, he seems very sort of like aware of what movements look great and what doesn't look good on camera. And there's a certain even though what he's doing is kind of like aggressive and brutal at times, there's a beauty to it. There's like a poetry to the way he moves as well, and that kind of lends itself into this idea of the choreography kind of almost becoming a little bit like a dance aspect to it as well. So yeah, it's visually different and it's like dynamic to watch as well.
And I remember sitting in the chair in my seat watching the film and going, oh my God, getting more and more pumped up because of the music you guys were creating. And I go, who's doing this? Because I wasn't sure who was doing the music, and I'm like, of course. So apropos that you guys would be involved in this, and then making this one your first one, Mike. Was it because this project was so unique that you decided to come aboard?
They basically approached me saying, there's this film, and they described it. They described Gareth, and they gave me some ideas about what they might want. And then part of that, they didn't say, the thing they went right is they didn't say we want Linkin Park. They wanted basically some things that I had done for fun. I did my Fort Minor project. I did some remixes, and they cited those examples of maybe what they could possibly be looking for. Those things were things I did for fun, and then add to that the fact that I've been interested in scoring. I have a background. I studied classical piano for about 10 to 12 years, and I've always just kind of been interested in this. But clearly, my most of my time needs to be devoted to the band. I had an opening to do it, and I knew that it was something I could experience and kind of get my feet wet. And at the same time, I knew that I wouldn't want to do it alone, so I started looking through, people who might be interested in helping out and playing a role with me in this thing. And Joe's name came up. I loved what he did on the Tron score, and that was kind of it. I talked to him, and we clicked off the bat.
Again, that music makes the scene a lot of times, at least with me. I'm a music guy, so there's so much emotion for me, with music adding to a scene to really elevate it. Now, Joe, you've scored like Tron. I know you've been involved with Fast 5. Action sequences are not unfamiliar to you, but this is on a whole nother level, man. I'm curious, is it unusual to get a somewhat finished product and then try to add the music to it?
What's great about what I do and why I gravitated towards it is that every experience is very different. You know, on Tron, we actually came on board before there was a script. You know, so ever since the film started shooting, you know, even before there was shooting, there was already music kind of being thrown around by Daft Punk, where they were sending files around, and we were starting to put together some orchestral tracks. With this film, it was very much almost complete by the time we got on board. And that's also very interesting in the sense that you have this almost finished product in front of you, and you kind of need to now find a way to make everyone believe that you are a natural, you've always been a part of it, because you never want someone to sit in the theater. Obviously, I know you personally, you know, you're a music fan, you're a fan of our work, so you're going to hear it, but you don't really want people to hear your work. You want them to just be in tune with the film. So for Mike and I, a lot of it was about trying to just lay low at certain times, know when to push, know when to pull it back, and a lot of that comes from watching the film and being really hypersensitive to it and really as in tune with it as you can. And Gareth, I don't know, Gareth, it would be really cool to speak maybe about the choreography and how much actual rhythm is involved by that, and with that, and how much we can then pick up on the rhythm from those fight scenes.